everyone. Welcome to our press conference for the 2018 General Tire World Championship round. Your new reigning world champion, Greg Hackney. Greg, congratulations.
Thank you.
Exciting time for you. Familiar face to us here in the press conference because we just saw you for sudden death. I want to ask you first about your drive to the lake this morning. So when you took off from the hotel, you went basically the same route that you went yesterday in sudden death to go to Blue Cypress. And then that's also kind of the general direction. You see the signs for Okeechobee, Kissimmee. So where did you think you were headed, and were you afraid you were going to go back to that same sudden death lake?
No, I felt like, honestly, we wouldn't go back to Blue Cypress. Probably the biggest thing I was disappointed about the ride around this morning is we had to leave at 5:30. You know, we'd started off the week leaving at 6:45. Then yesterday we left at 6. Then this morning we got to leave at 5:30, and I'm like, these people don't like sleep anymore. So, but I didn't think it would change the time of, that we were fishing. I just felt like we were going farther. I didn't think we were going to Okeechobee this morning, but I really thought when we got to Yeehaw Junction that if we were going to go straight through, we were headed to Kissimmee. That's really, honestly, I thought we were going to Kissimmee.
So 2009, you win the Forestwood Cup, and your quote on stage was, it's the greatest day of my life, or something like that. You win the Angler of the Year in 2014. This time you come in from competition, you said this is a humbling feeling. Talk about this particular win compared to your previous big wins.
I really can't explain that, but this week has been a humbling deal for me. Again, it kind of goes back to last year in a way that I just did so well to be crushed, in the sudden death deal. It just really left a thorn in my side. You know what I'm saying? And this week, to start off at basically starting off at rock bottom and coming all the way back and winning the event has been a very humbling experience. This really started for me on the elimination round. The first round, I didn't get off to a bad start. I mean, I led most of the day and then ended up dead last. I felt like I made a bad decision, late in the day of the shotgun round. But, coming back and really, in a way I can look back on it now and say it was a cool deal, but that deal of Edwin and I going back and forth all day, Takahiro won the elimination round, but Edwin and I, because Edwin was like 11 pounds ahead of me, and I caught back up, and we just fished head to head all day, and not taking anything from. I know how hard he fished. I think that's one thing that this is a humbling experience for me, because I wasn't the only one out there putting it all on the line, giving it 150%. All these guys were, and I think that's what makes it it's. I don't know. I can't explain that, but I could never. Now, if I'm around a bunch of weekend warriors, yeah, I can get the big head. But with this bunch, I know how good they are, and I know what they put into this because I do the same thing. It is a very humbling experience when you do well. I mean, it's a humbling experience when you do bad too, but it's a reality check when you do bad. But it's just, I don't know. I can't really explain it, but it just really humbled me on that elimination round. Coming back and making it, and I just. I don't know. It puts you in your place.
Okay, since no one's asked this yet, I have to ask, what are you feeling in this moment?
The biggest thing I'm feeling at the moment right now is hunger. I have not eaten today since, I don't know, roughly 11:30ish. I'm not sure when that break is when we get. We had a taquerito or something today. I'm not sure what it was. It was really good, honestly. But it's been a while, So, but this is the deal. I've lost that adrenaline dump, and when you leave everything out there on the lake, it really just I'm just kind of like I'm so happy. I really am. I'm so happy that I won, but because I've won some stuff before in the past, I know how it is. It gets better every day. It's so great right now. I was very emotional at the end of the round when it was said and done. I was so scared that maybe the score tracker had messed up. You know what I'm saying? I was like, Dan was like, you just won and I was like, are you sure? I don't want to be 2 minutes into this win and the thing uploads something different. But so when we were finally 100% sure that I had won, it was really an emotional deal for me. I can't explain it. It's like all the pressures. It's like you're in a pressure cooker and just all of a sudden it's all gone. It's so awesome. It really is. But this is another one of those deals that I'll have for the rest of my life. Regardless of what happens from this point forward, I can look back on this and say this is one of the greatest weeks of my entire life. I mean, I've been here. I've worked my way up to get to the World Championship. I fished against my heroes. They really are. They still are my heroes. A lot of these guys I knew before I read about them before I started fishing professionally. And to be here now and to compete with them and to win, it just doesn't get any better. It really doesn't.
Great, congratulations. How do you handle your nerves going into a big event like this?
I think, me handling my nerves is, I've been doing this for, now a long time. And I think that has one thing that's probably gotten better. I still get stressed. I get as stressed as much now as I ever have. But I probably do a better job of controlling my stress level. It's hard, but we all deal with it. And again, it's like, it's just another day at the office. This is what I do. And so maybe I just do a good job of covering it up. But I do, honestly, I do feel like this afternoon, though, my anxiety level went through the roof. And it's so funny. I led some today, and it didn't bother me. But when I got up to about I was 9 or 10 pounds ahead of the second place guy, it really got real for me. Then my nerves everything kind of come to the surface because I was like, we're in this deal now. I got a chance. Even though I'd led before that, I had not separated myself from the field. So I was just fishing. I was still just doing what I'm supposed to do. But when it got to be 10 pounds ahead, my nerves, I was like, oh gosh. I saw that big trophy sitting in this room when I got here the first day, and I wanted that sucker. And I was like, now it's legit. You've made it to the end. I got a 10-pound lead. This could happen. It got serious.
Greg, weather conditions changed overnight from yesterday to today's championship round with the wind and the cold front that came through. How did those changing conditions affect your decision making or your approach?
Basically, I felt like that the weather today really blew out about 2/3 of the lake. I mean, it made it unfishable. And it really, every decision I made today was because of the weather system that we had. I knew we were going, I looked at the map and saw the north end of the lake and knew the wind was going to be north-northeast. It was going to blow big. As the day progressed, it was predicted to blow harder and harder. And I really concentrated on the north end of the lake because of that. Also, because it was so hard to get a bite, that's what really put me to flipping mats, which is how I caught every fish that I weighed today. I feel like the weather really helped me win because it helped me make every decision I made. My deal was, I was like, there were mats all over the lake. They were not catching them that fast. If I can get bit on the north end, I fished totally out of the wind. Basically, I was using a levee on the north end of the lake to protect the area that I fished a protected area. I felt like I would be more efficient if I didn't have to fish in that 25-mile-an-hour wind. Again, I'm using the other guys to practice for me. The lake was basically wide open. I could see where, most of the time, anytime I looked up, I was all the way on the north end. Anytime I looked up, I could see at least 2 competitors of the other 3. And so me watching the score tracker, I was on the protected end of the lake. I think the weather was the deal. I think the weather is what helped me, win today because it's what pushed me to that area of the lake.
Cool. How much, if at all, did your strategy change from sudden death to today?
Well, today I probably was not as rushed as I was in sudden death because in sudden death you got, the mark was 20 pounds. So the first 4 guys to 20 pounds goes out. So today you're a lot more laid back in the championship round because all you have to do is win the round. It doesn't matter if you catch them in the first period, the second period, or the last 30 minutes. So you have all day. You know, it's a mental deal. You know that you have all day to get it done. In the sudden death round, you don't, so you're rushed. So I was really laid back. And again, because the score tracker was not really lighting up, I just stayed really relaxed most of the day today.
What were your overall thoughts on fishing in Florida, especially this time of year?
I love Florida. I mean, Florida has a special place in my heart. It had one before we came here for the General Tire World Championship. It's a place, one of the first times I fished away from home, out of state, when I had the bright idea that I would become a professional angler. Florida was one of the first states that I went to. It was a place that I had watched tons of television shows, Roland Martin fishing in Florida. I had read all the magazines, you know, about articles about, like, Florida's one of the states where bass fishing kind of originated. There are many states, I guess, that kind of have that claim to fame, but definitely Florida. When you think of big, giant, largemouth bass, you think of Florida. So any chance I get to go to Florida, it doesn't matter if it's summer, spring, or whenever, but we were here prime time. We're here February, full moon. We're in Florida. Not a better state to be in. The weather's been incredible. You can tell by my raccoon look.
Talk a little bit specifically about the lakes you fished, because among bass people, the names like Kenansville and Stick Marsh are famous. Like, they're bucket list destinations for most people who want to catch bass. When you showed up there today, were you excited about that?
You know, honestly, I hate to say this, I'd never heard of the lake that we went to today. I had heard of the Stick Marsh, and that's the only lake. I fished Garcia, which kind of reminded me of a restaurant. I fished Garcia's is what I was thinking about. Place where I had a bad taco, but that's kind of my first round. It was like I had a bad margarita and a bad taco at Garcia's during the shotgun round. But so we fished Garcia's, we fished Stick Marsh, which I had heard of, which was a very famous place. Blue Cypress, which is honestly one of the prettiest lakes I've ever been to in Florida. I enjoyed it. And then today, Kenansville. The only lake that I knew of was Stick Marsh, and I'd heard of it, probably I've known about it for the last maybe 15 or 20 years. I don't know. It's a really famous place. I'd actually saw some video from it, in the past, television shows. I saw Shaw Grisby there. I think I even saw Mark Zona and Fish, film one of his shows there. So that was the only place. Now, come to find out, I guess Kenansville, the lake that we fished today, was probably known for the biggest fish in recent history, in recent times. And, I know from the fish that I caught today, it was a great place. I caught some really, really nice fish. Like typical tournament fishing, I really caught some nice fish. I really think the biggest problem with it today is we've had these weather systems the last 2 days and this full moon, but realistically, maybe 80% of that lake today was unfishable after about 10 o'clock because of the wind. So I never felt like today I was in the best area of the lake, probably that had the biggest fish population. I just feel like I was in the right area, to win the event today because of the weather.
What's the next big goal or mountaintop for Greg Hackney?
I really don't know. I'm just going to kind of ride this high for a while, stay on the mountaintop for as long as I can, play King of the Mountain for a week or so, and then we'll go from there.
Greg, what do you think you knew or you figured out today that your competitors couldn't?
Basically, I dialed in that mat flipping deal, which is nothing I done today was a secret. It's a great technique anytime you have a cold front. And the funny thing about Florida is, like, the water temperature was only a couple degrees colder than what it's been any morning that we've started, but that's all it takes. And you basically, fish in Florida running high under a mat. So it kind of just set up that way. I think probably, some of the other guys probably didn't figure that out, and maybe that's what some of them were doing, but they fished in the wind, and I stayed out of the wind, and I think that was was probably the biggest key. But that's about it.
Greg, you won the world championship. When you got in your truck after the round, what first phone call did you make?
Well, I didn't make a phone call, but I did text my wife because she was the first person. The only two people that I've told are my father and my wife, and everybody in this room.
Okay, so everybody at home is going to want to know, what baits were you using today that helped you win?
Today I used a Strike King tungsten flipping weight, 1 3/8 ounce, a Hack Attack 6-aught flipping hook, and a black and blue Strike King rodent. I mean, it's not an easy way to fish. It's hard on you. You have just pulling that big weight in and out of that stuff. But it is I consider it simple. I really feel like I've been really simple about every round. I've kept it pretty simple this week, and I think that's been a big key. And I really think the reason that's worked out because fishing's been kind of tough. And, it'll be exciting. This will make an exciting show. I mean, there's been a lot of fish caught, but I'm really glad that fishing was tough. Not that I excel necessarily when the fishing's tough, but I feel like that's really what's led me to sit here in front of y'all.
Okay, perfect. Can you tell us about your rods and reels and what line you used today?
I used a 8-foot Hack Attack flipping stick, 65-pound Gamma Torque braid, quantum smoke reel, a 100 8-to-1 gear ratio. I like the little reel; it just lightens up on the rod, not having a big reel on the rod, and it's super fast. And that's been the key. Now that rod and reel combo was also the key in the elimination round. But then I was flipping a 1/2 ounce black and blue Hack Attack jig. Those fish were just relating to reeds. I've really caught them different every. The first round on Garcia, the majority of my weight was caught in that round on a vibrating jig, Strike King Thunder Cricket. And then the next round we went to Stick Marsh, and I caught all my fish there just flipping a black and blue jig with a rage crawl, a matching rage crawl on the back. And then yesterday at the Sudden Death at Blue Cypress, I did catch some on the bladed jig, but the majority of my weight that day, I flipped a Strike King shimmy stick, black and blue. The main thing that's pretty common with everything I used on every lake, the colors stayed the same. They were all different lures, but it was all black and blue. That's just again, when you don't know what color to use in Florida, just use black and blue or June bug. Those two colors are like 1 and 2 or 2 and 1 in Florida. And I think that's really been my big key all week, is just being real simple.
So where are you going to put the trophy at in your house?
Oh, I will find a place. It's awful big, but I'll promise you it'll have a special place where it's easily seen. Because I want to make sure that everybody gets to see it.
Well, make sure it's a reinforced shelf or something, because that trophy weighs about 70 pounds. So
68 actually.
That's about 70.
Round
Round up, exactly. So we know you have a lot of other stuff to do, both with Major League Fishing and probably on your own. But what's tonight's plan for Greg Hackney, world champion?
Basically, just again, it goes back to the hunger deal. It's time on this full moon for me to feed.
Well, we will let you get off to doing that and whatever else this full moon encourages you to do on the night of your win. So congratulations again.
Thank you very much.
We're so excited to have you as our new world champion, and good luck with everything else that you're moving on to do after this event. Hopefully,
I'll try not to embarrass you.
Okay.